The Browns continue to prepare for their upcoming game against the Raiders this weekend. We have to discuss the latest around that game, including a surprise on the Raiders injury report. And then Alex Wright signed an extension. Let's talk about that deal, what it means for him, what it means for the Browns, and then ultimately where, it goes from here with this defense and the fit and maybe the bigger, wider implications that come with signing a player in season. So a lot to talk about there. We have a great guest to talk about the Raiders, and we have plenty to get you ready for, including a little bit of a fun addition to the end of the show, which is the most interesting segment from All Eyes on Cleveland. So we'll have that in today's show as well. So thanks for being here, and let's get started with the latest Browns film breakdown brought to you by Monfredi Dental and the good folks at FanDuel Sportsbook. Guys, what's up? What's happening? Welcome in. It is Friday, November 21st. Hopefully your Friday is going well. However this podcast finds you. We have a lot to discuss, and we'll go through. Let's just kind of work our way through everything. The Bills are in the middle of a late game failure. Maybe they figure this out. I'm not sure. They're sort of driving with 2:40 left on the clock, their own end of the field. We'll see if they end up winning, but they're struggling to say the least. They cannot find the production at wide receiver. They have 2 straight weeks of healthy scratch reports from Keon Coleman. They have really failed to equip Josh Allen with the wide receiver talent necessary. But again, we digress a little bit from the point of today's show, but that is happening as we speak. But again, the Browns are preparing for what's coming this weekend, a trip out to Las Vegas, a trip with some weird implications for both sides, right? On who's going to ultimately get the best draft pick possible. We'll talk about that with Marcus, our guest here, in just a little bit. But the point of like this trip and the lead up to it is it's really about Shedeur Sanders. I think we can all agree this game's interesting subplot across from obviously, hoping your team wins a game, or if you're in the hoping your team loses a game market, is just seeing what the Browns have with Shedeur Sanders and trying to figure that out. I think the conversation about, what it takes for Shedeur to prove himself and ultimately get where he wants to go and maybe, get the opportunity to keep leading the Browns. I don't know how that shakes out for him. It would take an unbelievable end to the season to even get the chance to have that unbelievable end to the season. It starts this weekend. So a lot of pressure in that regard. His dad was on there in Colorado kind of talking about he didn't want to be a distraction, maybe didn't want to fly to his son's first game. So again, he's sort of talking about, thinking about it from a dad's perspective, how he came all the way up here to see us, a shorter trip to go see him because he went home to see his dad on, homecoming weekend. But again, we'll see how it shakes out. It's a cool moment for, Dion with his son starting a game in the NFL. It'll be neat. And it's a nice, like I said, distracting subplot that is certainly, we can all agree, been distracting, but we'll see if it ends up leading to some better quarterback play. That's what we're all interested in. Above all else, at least those of us analyzing the Browns. Injury report updates real quick. The biggest addition is Max Crosby has a knee injury designation that kept him in a limited fashion in today's practice. We'll see if that means he doesn't play. He didn't play up against the Browns last year, but we'll see if that hinders his ability to play this weekend. I don't expect it will, but sometimes when these late season situations pop up, you never know who's going to miss a game. For the Browns, a DNP setup is obviously Dylan Gabriel in the concussion protocol. 2 straight DNPs from David Njoku. That's not trending in a good direction. Limited again from Conklin and Robinson. A DNP all of a sudden for Jamari Thrash with a foot injury. So that's interesting, right? That came out of nowhere. So we'll see if he's able to go. And then the last DNP is Alex Wright, who's dealing with a quad injury that caused him to miss last week, which takes us to our next point, which is the Browns sign Alex Wright to a new deal, which is, it's awesome. Anytime you can get a 3rd round pick to feel like you should extend that player, it feels like a great outcome. And I think we're talking about Isaiah McGuire having another year to get to the same result. The Browns obviously doing something that they have done in the past, which is get these mid-year deals in for guys they want to keep around. There's obviously some other candidates, such as like Devin Bush is on a one-year deal playing exceptional football. There are others worth looking at. And the question I think that is pretty fair is, would the Browns front office be doing these type of deals if they feared for their job, if they feared whether the next regime, you know what I'm saying? Like, would ownership stop these sorts of things to see if the next regime would want those players around? That's the question. It would point that they're going to be back, Andrew Berry and the guys. But I also don't like getting into a world where everything the Browns are doing, we're trying to predict what's going to happen off of that. I don't know. We don't know. I know that Alex Wright is a good football player, and for the here and now, it's a good deal. And it's an example of the type of deal that you like to see when you have, again, a player you draft in the middle rounds, but it's also not a deal that breaks the bank. And I think it's important to understand, if he gets to free agency, there's guys like Dayo Adenibo who signed with the Bears, very similar player, more run defense than pass rush. I think Wright's a better pass rusher, but getting like 20% more, 48 million instead of 33, getting your guy signed somewhat early. This isn't a really early deal because this is the fourth year of a deal. And maybe there's a little bit of a discount in here for Wright because he dealt with injuries that cost him significant amount of time, right? The torn tricep that cost him a lot of time. He's obviously dealing with the quad right now, but the Browns believe in him. I think he's a very good run defender. And if you see Alex Wright next to Myles Garrett, he's a similar size. Like, he's a huge guy, and he plays a very physical brand of football. And there's a lot, again, like I said, to be very encouraged by. Even if the pass, like, I think you can get a little sort of squinty concerned about, are there enough pressures there to justify it? Because, you know, if you go look at his, and I'm pulling this up on the fly here, just the pressure rates for Alex Wright, they're not the most encouraging pressure rates. Now, the sack production when he gets a pressure is pretty strong. But in 24, he played, obviously we know he got hurt early in the year, but there are only 3 pressures, 1 sack. His 21 pressures is the most that he's had, you know, in a single season. And that was in 23. And then obviously this year, the best run defense he's had, including 19 tackles, 19 stop tackles. But he only has 10 pressures, but has converted 3 sacks, according to PFF, off of those pressures. I think there's still a really intriguing pass rusher there who's getting more comfortable with how to bend and turn the corner, is learning from the best in the business on how to use his hands and create the leverage, knock the outside arm off, or lift the inside arm. He's getting better. There are examples of this even in just today's opening drive where I wrote about him. So I like his upside. They signed this deal because they think he continues to get better. You don't look at a deal like this and say this is his basement, he's not going to improve. But even if you want to view it as what's the basement, you got a very good strong side edge opposite Myles, who continues to play really, really good run defense within the structure the Browns like to use, and provides you some solid pass rush in a lot of one-on-one scenarios. I feel good about it. I think it's the right price point, and I think it's a fair number. Wright commented after the deal, it just shows the fact that the Browns believed in me. And I'm not mad at them for believing in me. He says they put their all into me. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to draft me. They didn't have to throw me into the fire. They could have been somebody else my rookie year, right? They could have gone another direction. It's surreal to me, he continues. Very surreal. Like right now, I can't even think straight right now. But at the end of the day, the work is still there. I mean, I'm happy. It's a life-changing moment for me. But at the end of the day, we still got work to do. So trying to stay as attuned to business as I can. I'll take a moment later for sure. But at the end of the day, we still have work to do, which is all the stuff that you love to hear a player talk about, you know, as they talk about, obviously, the accomplishment that is having that real money in the second contract in the NFL, especially anybody taken outside of the first round, getting that real contract, real money. That's that 21 million guaranteed hits a little bit different, right? He continued on later. He said, I feel like this is the best fit for me. Not only this defense, but playing alongside Myles and playing under Coach Schwartz, just seeing how close the defense is. I feel like I couldn't get that anywhere else. I feel like I grew up here. He said, I feel like I've made it. I'm home. This is my home. I feel like this defense that we have here, I felt like I wasn't going to end up going anywhere. I didn't want to go nowhere. I'm just glad we came to a deal, and I'm still in a little bit of disbelief right now. So listen, kudos to Alex Wright. Fantastic deal for the Browns. I think it's going to be good for both sides, and it keeps the Browns, like, notice what they're doing with the defense. if you can, like locking up the primary edge opposite Miles, the trade, which we have to discuss in more detail between the Browns and Jags for Tyson Campbell, which, takes care of the second corner. Those are your premium positions that needed addressed this offseason. You can see they got, again, another year of Malik Collins. They got, obviously, the young guys on the defensive line that are back under their rookie deals, right? You got Isaiah McGuire on another year of the rookie deal, Mike Hall on a rookie deal, Mason Graham on a rookie deal. You've got your linebackers you feel pretty good about. We'll see what they do with Devin Bush. We'll see what happens with JOK, but you love what you're getting from Swessinger. The safety situation, they're going to have to figure out something with Ronnie Hickman, right? There's pieces there that are now in place, and you don't have to be concerned about what's the second edge look like on next year's team or what's the second corner look like. It's just auxiliary pieces now for them. Nothing serious on that side, which tells us even more. The obvious thing is that they're going to be pushing all the chips into the middle of the table for the offense, going so offense heavy to try to rectify the issues on that side of the ball, as they should. We can all agree with that, right? So that's the move. That's the indicator. And you feel good. You feel good about it. I think it's a good deal. So that's all that happens. Relatively, again, quiet day, just some injury updates. Joe Bitonio did some talking about, how they had to quiet the crowd down when Shedeur came in to be able to operate the offense. That was kind of funny. But I will say, there is one more interesting quote that came from Jim Schwartz today. Just something to notice whenever this is mentioned. And now, is Jim Schwartz being hyperbolic? Maybe. But anytime you hear this name associated with the football player, it's interesting. It makes you raise your eyebrows, right? He said on Carson Swessinger, I gave him a great compliment this week. I was with Ray Lewis his first 3 years in the league in Baltimore, and he's maybe the best to ever do it. The command, this is a quote from, obviously, that matters here from Schwartz. The command that Carson has now took Ray maybe until his third year in the league to develop. I'm presuming he's talking about command of the structure of the defense, command of the talent around him, and calling plays and making checks and getting his team in the best position, which is a hell of an accomplishment. How you feel about Ray Lewis aside, that's an unbelievable compliment to receive from somebody who's been around the league for a long time, which is playing itself out in real time as Swessinger is the NFL's rookie of the week on defense. He's a hell of a football player, and I'm really happy the Browns have him, even if you are still somewhat sideways about positional value and obviously investing a serious pick into it. He's a great football player. He'll be a great scheme fit no matter what the Browns do, and you like to see that. So yeah, that's about it. There's some Raiders stuff pumping up Shedeur. We'll see how the Raiders play. We're going to talk about that with Marcus, and we'll get to that right now. But again, really interesting stuff across the board, and I will continue to update you guys throughout the week. We'll have a mailbag tomorrow that runs into your Saturday, obviously. Talk a little college ball around that mailbag too. So yeah, there's a lot to discuss, a lot to get through before the game, and it's going to be an interesting game, to say the least. So we're going to get over to our conversation with Marcus. I'll play that for you guys, and then we'll get to the re-airing of the 14 or so minute clip of Brad and Casey on All Eyes on Cleveland. I want to share that with you as well. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by, and appreciate you being here. We'll get to our conversation with Marcus, and then obviously the All Eyes on Cleveland, like I said. So thanks again for being here, and go Browns. Browns Raiders, real slugfest at this point in the season. We're excited to get some information on whether what I'm interested in, Marcus, is whether you feel the same way the majority of Browns fans are starting to feel, which is, hey, we don't need to win this game. Let's be real. It's a Shedeur Sanders. It's interesting for that nature of like, what can Shedeur do given a week of practice, all the elements that he's been missing, but it would not behoove the Browns to win this football game. Is the sentiment the same with Pete Carroll, or that like, is more of a culture builder that he is? Do you get the sense that they're not ever going to go that route?
I don't think they're personally going to go that route at all. I think, trying to do what they did at the offensive line, which which is crazy last week, and saw the results of that.
Yeah.
They're trying to win these games. I mean, they're trying to put the best five out there still. They got two rookies, Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers, one from Texas Tech, the other from I totally forgot the FCS school that Charles Grant comes from, but definitely some prospects they took in the third round. You expect they would get some kind of run this year if you're having injuries, but they're refusing to play Rodgers and trying to put the best guys out there, and it's not working. And they're still playing like Caillou Blue Kelly over Darian Porter, Jack Besh, and those guys aren't getting a lot of looks. So it really, then they signed Tyler Lockett, and now Tyler Lockett's getting a lot of targets. You could try to tell that they're trying to turn the season around, right?
Right.
But yeah, me personally, I really don't care if they win anymore. To be honest, the Raiders need a quarterback. I'm actually, if the Browns do, the Raiders end up doing winning, I hope Shedeur Sanders throws for 350, so he looks like he's the guy. So the Browns don't have to draft a quarterback, if I'm being honest. So
that is the single most interesting part of the season for the Browns at this point. Is it's hard for Shedeur or even Dylan in this sense, and that's why we've had these issues with the Browns taking 2 quarterbacks in a draft. Like, what can they really prove if you're bad that stops you from wanting to get another guy at the top of the draft? So he's got an opportunity. We'll see how long it manifests. But I for the sake of what can he do? What does this matchup look like for both sides? Like, I saw Max Crosby pop up on the injury report. I was like, I see what you're doing, Raiders. I know I can. We recognize the same thing over here, but no, I mean, Max is wired the same way that Miles is, that these guys they go out and play. They go out and play. They continue to play. They play hard. I expect that'll be the case for both teams. Seems like relatively healthy on both sides. But what I want to trace with you is, like, you start the year with the big win over New England. One of the few teams, New England's lost twice this year. You start that way. This has been a total deviation from what everybody expected, which is like, you get Geno in, you get some stability at quarterback. And I know Geno's got a lot of supporters, and I'm not here to say Geno's career is done, but I think it is far from what was expected at the start of the year. Am I right on that?
100%. Like, it's kind of shocking how bad he's playing, to be honest. Just because he never played this bad in Seattle. Like, it was just a totally different player, right? He's inaccurate this year. His feet are terrible. He's missing throws that he just would make easily in Seattle. Like, in Seattle, he was 70% completion percentage because he would hit every short pass, like any short pass, and then he would hit the deep balls. And you're not seeing that at all this year. I mean, he started 0 for 17 in intermediates at home, throwing intermediate passes, right? So, and with 6 interceptions. So you kind of tell where he's kind of was heading towards the season early on, and it just never changed. And Chip Kelly doesn't help him. Chip Kelly is. It was a big mirage. I felt like at Ohio State, they ran more of a pro style offense, and he's trying to run in the NFL. I feel like he's going pure college. The some of the run plays is very basic college run plays that you would see, and the NFL teams are picking up on it really quickly. Especially, they're still trying to do the same run game that they did from the Bears game, where they ran for 200 yards, right? They kind of caught the Bears off guard with the new run game. But now it's week 12. And the Cowboys, they do everything about the run game. I mean, that's why they couldn't run the ball. And there's a lot of tells that happens with Chip Kelly's run game. And that's the biggest issue is Chip Kelly too. Chip Kelly is not making it easy for Geno at all. And the timing of the offense is bad. It's just a big mess. But also Geno, when he has somebody open, he's not throwing it to him, or he's missing like he wasn't last year. So it's been a huge disappointment for Geno Smith. I'm really disappointed, but that's why I'm all in on no more veteran retreads. Let's just draft somebody. I'm tired of this. So
obviously we're as close as you can. I'm in Columbus here, and a lot of Ohio people, what Chip Kelly did with Ohio State, which was pretty damn good. And it's surprising to me that Chip can't figure, because I'm looking at I'm looking at some of the yardage outputs of the last 5-6 games, and it's like, man, it's hard to fathom how this has happened, given, Ashton Genty. There's some talent on that offensive line. Obviously, Geno's had success in other places. Is the idea here they're going to, I'm sure you're going to push for this, but is Chip going to get some patience from Pete Carroll in this one? And do you trust, say they do draft Ty Simpson, whatever, you want to entrust him to Chip Kelly based on what you've seen this year?
No. I think the biggest part of Chip Kelly this year is the run game. To be honest, passing offense, he's not that bad. Some of his schemes are a little bit too long developing, and the timing, like I said, doesn't match the drops and stuff like that. But he's getting guys open in the passing game. It's just Geno's missing those guys when they are getting open. So the passing game is not a problem for Chip. It's the run game. It's so simple. And when they get in certain sets and certain looks, like teams know what they're going to do. Just like the Cowboys game where they got the safety, they ran that same exact concept against the Bears on the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
Right. So the Cowboys are like, oh, okay, we do this. And they set up in a certain way against that look. And they shot a gap. And they knew it was going to be open. And they got a safety. And, the Browns are doing the same thing. I mean, the run game, the tells are there. Like it's the whole league knows. And that's why it's so tough for Ashton Genty right now. And that's my biggest part of Chip. That's why I think Chip has to go. It's just hit what he does in college with the run game is just can't work in the NFL. And that's the biggest problem with him. It's really not passing offense. I mean, like I said, be honest, it's actually pretty good what he does in the passing offense. If Geno was better, that's the bad part of Geno with this is that Chip Kelly is pretty good passing. So if Geno was playing well, you probably wouldn't even notice it. He'd get another year and figure it out, right? Maybe with another quarterback, who knows? But I think how bad the run game is, and then you mix that in with Geno, that's probably why Chip has to go. And he's not really trying to change anything up. And it kind of feels like he's just out there calling plays. It's not really like he's attacking somebody, right? Like, like what you see from most NFL teams are attacking the defense that they play.
Yeah, I feel like the ones who are doing this best in modern football are the ones who can, like, I know this sounds it's very, I don't know, cliche is probably the best word, but the ones who can really still make their run and pass look the same pre-snap. If you got guys who are giving you a bunch of tells on run game immediately, those are the guys, because how smart defenses are getting, that just can't find success. And you're also right. And this is something the Browns have obviously lacked. That's what we're talking about. 2 teams with 4 wins between the two of them is like attacking specific players. You don't really feel like as you go through other defenses, like, hey, that's the weakness. And they sort of hone in on that and find a way to pick on it. And that just is like the thing that separates, I feel like, guys who obviously have it window dressed to look the same, have a feel for it, but then also know how to attack the exact weakness given what your personnel puts on the field. So I'm with you on that. Before we get off the offense, it seems like Trey Tucker has taken some great steps. That's moving in a good direction. Brock Bowers is Brock Bowers. He's pretty damn special. As far as the weapons go, there's 2 questions, and we'll close on the offense. It's like, what weapons do Browns fans need to be aware of that aren't those obvious names? You can kind of expand on Trey Tucker because it feels like he's Cincinnati boys taking some good steps there. It was his teammate that got a lot of pub in the draft, but he's the one who ended up obviously making some real strides here. And then offensive line, it seems like it's catching a bunch of buzz between these 2 offensive lines that are really bad, that we might have Myles Garrett might break the sack record in this game alone type stuff. Same for Max, who's going to be dealing with I don't even know who's going to be playing tackle at this very moment as we're recording on Thursday. So yeah, elaborate on those 2 pieces for us if you can.
So I'll say with Trey Tucker, I think Trey Tucker's taken a huge step. I think he's become definitely a wide receiver 2 in the league, a legit one that, if he got more, what I would say, just looks, and then, Geno just being more on time and hitting him was in certain looks and knowing where he's going to be and seeing things pre-snap, I think Trey Tucker would be having a bigger year than we're even talking about. And he's got better every single year. You see his yards have gone up every single year. That's going to be a consistent thing. He's probably going to be over 800, maybe 700 this year. He went from 300, 500, 700. So you see where he's going, right? You see what type of player he is. And he has a great release. He's a whole lot better route runner than he was when he came in the league. So he can run a lot more routes. Definitely some great routes that I've seen on film from him. And he's just such a deep threat too. And he does a great job tracking the football in the air. So the Raiders aren't really taking advantage of that right now. And maybe they feel like the offensive line or whatever they're doing. But he is still a deep threat. And I'll say with the other receivers, I think Michael Mayer is a good player. I think he's definitely a good tight end. They make a great tandem. I think him and Brock, especially the next couple of years. And, I think Mayer probably be a little bit cheaper, right, than Brock. I think they might try to keep that going. But it depends on how Mayer feels about it. If he wants to go find out he's the man. But I think he's a tight end 1 in the league. So I think he went to a different place. He could be an 800-yard tight end for a lot of teams. So I really think he could be a stud too. Dante Thornton is getting better as a route runner, but I think he's lost confidence in catching the football because of some of the drops he's had early on. So I think there's some confidence there. And then Jack Bech is, he's somebody I liked coming out, and he's looked really good. They don't throw him the ball. I feel like if Jack Bech had like an 8-target game, he'd have a pretty nice game. He has this great route against Trent McDuffie where he worked Trent McDuffie. And, that's one of the best corners in football. And I feel like if you see that on tape as a coach, you're like, hey, that might be something there, but they don't give him any shots. He'll get like one catch and he'll get a first down. Like I think he has like 8 catches. I think 7 of them are for first downs. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know why they don't throw him the football, but he is a guy that could I think can get it done if he got more targets. But they're trying to work through Brock and Trey at this point in time. So and then of course you got Tyler Lockett, who's Gino just likes Tyler. I don't know why he's out there, but.
You move off Jacoby and bring Tyler in. I mean, it's just a veteran. It's like, at this point, though, the Browns could use any worn body out there, wide receiver at times. But no, it's good updates on Thornton and back to the rookies there. So great. It's an interesting group. It's obviously more talented than what the Browns are trotting out there overall. But I know you'll probably still be looking to expand on that group in this draft coming up. There's no doubt about that. You want more weapons. Defensively, how's it going? It seems like there's been some real ups and real downs as far as looking at some total yardage stuff, but enlighten us on that.
So I mean, what the Raiders are doing, I think Carroll and Graham are still good defensive coaches because they just don't have any talent over there. So the secondary has no talent. I mean, but Eric Stokes having a better year than I expected. But he's a solid corner in the NFL, right? He's a 2, and he's a 1 right now for this team, and he's a 2 in the NFL. I mean, that's pretty much what he's shown this year, I believe, and that's why I think they still might go that position in the draft too as well. But like Kyle Blue Kelly is just he's a problem out there. Isaiah Palomar, he makes things happen. And then they're playing Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson played like 10 snaps on defense the past 3 years. He's a special teams guy, and he's starting safety right now. So that kind of tells you a little bit about the secondary. And then,
this is like bad versus bad with the Browns skill group versus this secondary. It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be great. And then linebackers, Devin White, I know the good teams that have played the Raiders, like let's say the good quarterbacks, that's who they attack. They attack the linebackers. They go straight at them. The Chiefs just went up and down the field on them, right? Just attacking those guys over and over and over and over again with different looks because Devin White can't guard anybody really, right? He makes a lot of tackles. I mean, he's like 5th in the league in tackles or something like that. But he as an overall like linebacker, he's not that good. Atlanta Roberts is playing too many snaps. He never played this many snaps in Detroit. He's out there in passing downs, which you can't have Atlanta Roberts out there in passing downs. Jamal Adams is actually playing pretty well. I'll give Jamal some credit.
Old safety down to linebacker. That's usually a sign of where the career is headed.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like I think he's gonna get signed again at that position. I think he's put good enough tape where like a good team like that needs like a little linebacker that can come and help. They're gonna pick him up. So I feel like that was a little bit of his goal this year, and I think he did that because he's put out some good film.
Is Landon Roberts still doing the physicality part of it? Because there was a snap last year that I know Ethan Posick, the Browns center, is going to have a flashback nightmare on. They ran pin pull, got him out to the perimeter, and Landon put him about 5 yards on his butt. That dude has some highlight physicality stuff. So I know you say he's playing a lot. He's usually been more of a base linebacker.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's playing more here.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Raiders are still good against the run. They're a good run defense. They do pretty good well against the run. I mean, they have some cracks every once in a while, but overall they do a good job of it and just kind of keeping teams from running all over them. The Jags had a big rushing game against them, but they ran the ball 40 times and only had 130 yards. So that kind of tells you that there was a lot of stops and maybe some 10-yard runs here and there, whatever. But they do a pretty good job of stopping the run because Atlanta Roberts and White are playing pretty well there. And then Max Crosby is awesome against the run. And I think the rest of the defensive line, Tyree Wilson, those guys, they're all good run defenders. It's just when you get to pass rush, I mean, it's really only Max Crosby. Adam Butler, every once in a while, Kuntz is he's been super disappointing. But pass rush wise, it's really just Max Crosby. And that's a big problem for the Raiders that way. So, but we'll see kind of what, Al Shadur is going to be filling the pocket. But, Max is going to be all over the place. But the rest of the guys, they're like hit and miss. Like maybe Adam Butler might have a good game, but then like the next, you have no idea where he's at. So
yeah, inconsistency. Myers, a lot of these guys across the league. Let me ask you this: do they like to heat up the quarterback? Obviously, the calling card on Shador, and we'll see. I don't even know if the Ravens went off the beaten path. Like the Ravens are one of the heaviest mug pressure front teams in the league. Like they'll get up there and they'll have some of the most exotic dropouts. And there are people like they did that because of Shedeur. They do that stuff no matter what, especially when you're in pass sets. They'll punch people out of the mug front, sim pressure stuff as much as anybody. But I was curious if the Raiders are a blitz heavy team or if you think they're going to try to, because making Shedeur uneasy about what he's getting pre to post is where it seems he struggles. And that's most young quarterbacks, but that's where he gets into the drifting habits and stuff like that.
Historically, Patrick Graham blitzes a lot, but Pete Carroll is here now too, so it's kind of mixed in, and they haven't been blitzing at all, really.
Interesting.
And I think they're terrified of their corners out there.
Yeah.
So they kind of just want to play zone and do a lot of zone coverages to kind of really mask that, and then hope that they get home before. And it's not working. So if it's not working and they're playing defense and they're still refusing to blitz, that tells you how they feel about the secondary, in my opinion. So I think what they're really trying to do is just get pressure with 4. But you never know, because like I said, in previous years with the Raiders, when of course, Patrick Graham had Trayvon Moore last year. He used to blitz him all the time. And the year before that too, they used to use him as a blitzer. And so he has a lot of those exotic things. Patrick Graham can do that. He has a lot of those exotic looks. But this year, I don't think they're doing that because they're really trying to hide these guys. You think they would though against Shedeur and try to rush his process. So there might be some more blitzes. Because that's what they did to Devin May. That's what they did to Drake May. That's what they did to Drake May week 1. They did blitz a whole lot more than they have all year. But we'll see how that goes.
That's, I think, one of probably the most underlying storyline here is whether they'll want to get after blitzing and making Shedeur uncomfortable. I think that's probably a pretty big indicator of when you're two teams and you're trying to figure out hey, are they really trying to win? Are they doing the best thing they can do to win? I think it's pretty obvious. I always say tanking comes from above. It comes from the front office. But if a coaching staff can't recognize that Shedeur's biggest weakness is understanding changing pictures pre to post and blitzing, I think that'll be interesting. Let me close with this question. The Raiders getting playoff contender worthy next year. Obviously, it's better quarterback play. It's probably a different quarterback, maybe even a young one. Is it investing I think they've, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, it feels like they've got some real money to work with this offseason and free agency. Is it just rewriting the secondary, maybe another pass rush? Is it spending assets on defense, essentially? And then you're just taking the early quarterback, hoping for the best there, that kind of thing. Because it feels like if you are stuck and we're sitting here next year, maybe these two teams meet up again because of the way the divisions look. We'll probably see each other. Is it Geno's back with it? Is it I guess what I'm getting at is there a world where Geno's back and starting next year because the contract and all of that?
Yeah, I think there is just because if Pete Carroll feels like that was all Chip Kelly and then he can bring in a new coordinator and fix it, then there is a possibility for that. I will say that I expect them to try to spend a lot in free agency this year. I think there's going to be more urgency to win. I think they kind of took their time here and thought Geno was going to cover it all up, and he didn't. So I think they're going to, the clock starts ticking when you go 2-8, when you have a little bit more higher expectations of at least being a 7-10 team, right? I think Raiders fans had that expectation. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to get beat, right? And then this team is going to pick top 5. So I think there's going to be more urgency from Spytek and those guys because they know if they don't get it done next year, they might lose their job. So I think there's going to be some urgency there. And
that's
then
the question. That's the question.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be some more urgency there with free agency, but also I think they are going to draft a quarterback. I think they have to because I think that's going to, especially Spytek. I think that's going to hold Spytek a little bit to allow him maybe to hire the next coach if they move on from Pete. But I do believe Pete's going to get one more year, and he might try to keep Geno. But it's going to be weird. I think Spytek's going to go hard though in free agency.
Is this a 2 year? Is this year 2 for Pete or year 1?
Year 1.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm curious, and this is a morbid question. I hate to ask it, but Pete's 74.
Yeah.
So it's he's, how long is Pete going to keep coaching? He's pushing it. And I know he stays younger than most guys out there, but that's where it is interesting. If you're a fan of the team, is these guys obviously you think the same way I do, which is most of, you're not really figuring it all out in free agency, and it can get really dangerous to throw money at the wall and hope. But at the same time, it's like, you're looking at the roster, you're looking at the age of the coach, you're looking at trying to figure some of the stuff. It's like, that's the subplot, I would imagine. I don't want to speak for you, but like that, as I'm side-eyeing the Raiders, it feels like, how patient do they want to be, and how long of a leash does somebody in the legendary coaching circles of Pete Carroll get? That's the interesting question.
Yeah, because I believe that they thought they were at least going to be, like I said, a 7-10, 8-win team this year, right? So they didn't probably see this team being this bad. And since the team is this bad, it does take a lot of things back, right? Like, so how long do you wait for this team to get better so Pete could stay? Does Pete have a successor? But yeah, I think that's even more important to why they have to draft a quarterback, because a quarterback will get them the coach that they really need, right? If they have a quarterback that comes out there and just plays just some good football and has a lot of high potential, they can get the coach that they really want. So I think that's going to be the key to this whole offseason. But yeah, the clock is ticking now because how bad they are. Like, if they're like a 4-6 team, or 5-5 team, or whatever, we'd be maybe feeling a little different about them, right? And feeling about the future of the team. But since they're so bad, that's why it's like, I don't know how much longer we're wait here.
It is an interesting team to follow this offseason. We'll get through this weekend together. We can all do it. We'll make it. It's like last week we said, or the Browns played the Jets, and we called it, flexed it over to Tubi, to some other off the beaten path channel. That's what we got going on here. But that's the story. The Browns still have the Titans. Still, it could get even worse. We'll keep on keeping on. But I'm interested. We will be kind of crossing paths as the draft comes, and seeing where this is a huge game for draft positioning in the worst way possible. Because no one wants to root for their team to lose, but
I know
that's the reality of it. So listen, Marcus, tell everybody on our side, I don't expect people to go to other websites necessarily, but I like giving our people a place that, obviously, tell them where you cover the team, and then like your Twitter handle if they want to have some side eye on Raider stuff.
Yeah, so Twitter, I'm at the Mark John NFL. I do a show called Tape Don't Lie. So it is a film show that we break down Raiders games. So we'll be breaking down a review of the Browns versus Raiders for sure. And then also, if you want to join that channel, and we do draft stuff like crazy. So we'll do like over 100 prospect breakdown. So if you have a guy that your team members are drafting, you can see a breakdown of what me and my co-host Matt do on those film breakdowns. So during the off season, we're all drafting. Anybody can watch those things. So look out for that too. And then so that's basically what I do. I tape don't lie, and then also I do some writing for silverbackpride.com, so you can check that out as well. But yeah, just follow me on Twitter at the Mark John NFL.
We appreciate your time so much, man, and we'll be in contact, I'm sure.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Do you consider him a major piece of the defense?
No. If I were like to list roster cornerstones in that kind of way, no. He's a massive role player though, and he fulfills a need opposite of Miles, which is what they've been trying to do, is get some homegrown talent opposite of Miles and not have to rent constantly. So this is the first sign that one of those actually worked out.
Yeah. So extending defensive end Alex Wright to a 3-year, $33 million contract with $21 million guaranteed, which is a pretty team-friendly deal for an ascending edge player.
Mm-hmm. I think his history of injuries probably lowered that.
Yeah.
What it could have been had he not, and he's going through an injury right now with his quad. So
yeah, it hasn't been. He's been pretty healthy this year.
Yeah, he's been very effective too, man.
Yeah, keeping him under contract through 2028. Wright's growth has been steady since being drafted at UAB in 2022. He developed into one of the league's better young run defenders and quietly disruptive edge opposite Myles Garrett. Would you agree with those things?
Yes, I would.
Defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz has praised Wright's strength and discipline, traits that often go unnoticed in box scores, but anchor the Browns' front seven. Mm-hmm. This move signals the Browns intend to build around Garrett and Wright as their long-term edge duo. It also gives the team... This is not my words. I'm reading. It also gives the team flexibility. If Wright continues to develop as a pass rusher, they'll have secured a high-value starter below the market rate for his prime years. The bigger picture, the defense remains the Browns' identity. Locking in Wright before free agency shows that the front office has learned from past mistakes. I disagree. They've always signed guys early.
They've tried. They try to. The couple times I've gotten caught with like Njoku getting into that fifth year, but Newsome. But the identifying early and paying keeps you ahead of the schedule. And when you already have so many large contracts on the books, that you got to do that with your other ones. Now, this was his fourth year.
This is his last year. Isaiah McGuire has 1 year left. Now, that brings us to the next conversation I want to have. First topic of the night, beyond our argument about...
What an argument? Spirited
debate about
discussion.
Whether the Browns should try to get better in the offseason.
Yeah, they shouldn't. That'd be absurd, right?
Yeah. Well... That's where you're at right now when you say you want them to win this meaningless game.
Yeah, if they pick fifth, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a big difference. You're not going to admit that's a big difference?
No, it's not life or death. Like, well, this is over. We might as well not root for this team anymore. I can't do that. I can't do that.
Pretty much.
What was the point of having two first rounders if you couldn't use them as ammunition to get up if you needed to? And
there's not 5 quarterbacks to take this year, buddy. All right. So the question becomes, do you want to keep this whole defense together? So the two names that pop out to me, I want to say who are extension candidates right now that you would like to see done before 2026. So
it starts with Emerson because this is also his final year, and the way I know, but I think you get him on the cheap, and I'm very happy with how Tyson Campbell's played since the trade. I'm very happy. You can't have too many dudes. You just can't. So if they see, but they also know how he's progressing. We don't know if that's coming along nicely or if it's not. They got to be truthful with themselves. But if you could bring Emerson back on a cheap, on a prove it deal, I would do that. So I think that's where the conversation has to start because this is his contract year as well. He was in that same class with Alex Wright.
Yeah, I think they won that trade hands down with Newsome. I feel very happy with what he has brought to the Browns. Tyson Campbell.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm very, very pleased with how that's worked out. He's fit in right away.
Yeah.
His play style matches what they want to do more.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. So what they do with Emerson will be curious. If they can lock him up on a real cheap deal and keep him around, then I'm fine with that. But other than
you can't pay a guy coming off an Achilles like that. But if you get him for a year or two and it's like minimum, 4 to 8, I could be mad.
Yeah, I don't even think he'll command that.
Come on up.
We'll see. Let's talk about. All right, Emerson is kind of a question area, right?
So we move on to the third year players who are going into year 4 next year. So
no, we've got a couple guys that have contracts up at the end of this year. Ronnie Hickman.
He only signed a 3-year as a UDFA, huh?
UDFAs are 3-year deals.
Okay. So him and Muhammad.
Hickman, Diabate, and the one that I'm more concerned with is Devin Bush.
Okay. Yeah.
Devin Bush is playing like a...
He is. My concern is he might price himself out. But I don't know how the teams view him. He was left for dead.
He was left for dead, but he is playing like an all-pro linebacker right now. So, how do you want to handle that? My first thing that I would want to do is I would like to extend Ronnie Hickman.
Yeah.
He, to me, this year has proven that he fits this defense. He can play center field in another scheme if they make a big coaching change and it's not Schwartz anymore. I think he still fits as your free safety. He is a good last line of defense, and he's rangy. I think he's done everything for me. He's limited as he doesn't give you the dual box
Yeah.
type guy.
He's not a top end athlete, but his ability to diagnose keeps him ahead of the play, so it's never noticeable. No, I do agree. His age too, but I think Bush is only like 27.
Yeah.
So
And
he's been in the
here's a
league a while, but he's
Great
not.
question from Philip here.
Yeah,
Does Bush depend on JOK? Listen, I
You
love
ha-
JOK. I want him to come back, but I do not think you can account for him at all.
you have to maneuver as if he's not coming back, and if he
He's
comes
not
back,
coming
that's
back.
great. That is phenomenal.
It's a bonus.
But you have to maneuver as if he's not. You proceeded in the draft like he's not already. So you keep doing what you're doing, and if he comes back, then you have the most athletic linebackers in the league.
Right. I would like to bring Bush back.
Yes. Pro Bush.
Diabate is not a starter for me. Yeah, we're pro Bush on this show, so.
Now, the question just came up. The legal stuff is.
Yeah, he's going to get suspended at some point. That's part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, right.
It's something to consider. But my only concern with Bush is, has he priced himself out of what you can afford to pay your linebackers based on all the other stuff you've allocated?
Just for the record,
if they really want him, they'll figure it out, at least the offer. Maybe another team does go over the top, though. But I just don't know how he's viewed across the league. I'm very happy with his play. He's been, and if you just look career-wise, he was like, okay, he's a run defender. That's primarily it. He's been nasty against the pass this year.
Which is why I would leverage the suspension. Hey, we stuck with you. Your career wasn't going so hot when you came here. Look what it's turned into. Let's get to a deal before free agency comes around. That's maybe a little bit lower than like where he might get. But I would play those cards if I were the Browns. And we know you're going to get suspended, but I would like to keep him around.
Yeah.
So those are the two guys for me. Like Diabate, I can take or leave. He hasn't shown enough for me to be like, oh, I gotta go sign him.
And when he gets on the field, there's splash plays, but he's inconsistent. He's not a must. No part of your defense hinges on him being there or not being there. If you're able to get him back on a friendly one, I wouldn't be mad if he's your depth piece.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, is Jerome Baker under contract next year?
I don't believe so. No, he's not.
If I had to choose, I'm choosing Baker over Diabate. So.
Yeah. And how old? But Baker's a little older.
He is. He's been serviceable though. When he's been
good. He's been good. Yeah. In spot, they play like 36% base. I think I saw the other day, which is more than most teams. So that gets him on the field some, right? Diabate has not played a lot. Jeffrey thinks Diabate could replace Bush. I don't know about that. Not yet. He developed real quickly for me, like, and made some strides, but he's kind of hit like a wall for me this year.
Yeah. Well, his inability to get on the field lets you know that he's not exceeding. And because he was an edge rusher. If you go back and watch his tape at Florida, before he went to Utah, he was an edge rusher. They moved him off the ball a little bit. But even then, he really didn't get a shot at off-ball linebacker until he came here. And he did kind of swim quickly. But it hasn't escalated to where they needed to count on that.
He doesn't. You're absolutely that's where I would I think, is that McLoathen? That's Beer and Loathen?
I like the name. Fear and Loathing. I like the play.
I like it. Yeah, but I think that yes, sir, he said. I agree about Diabate. He gets caught up in he's not physical enough. He doesn't get off enough blocks. He tries to win like JOK, and he's not JOK.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, he's a block evader, not a shedder. He's not
right.
Doesn't take on contact and play through.
Generic.
Which are most linebackers now.
Yeah, we said that at the same time. jinx there, McLaughlin. All right. So, are you with me on Hickman and Bush?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Isaiah McGuire is 2027.
Mm-hmm. Well, you put yourself in a point of strength by signing Wright because you don't have to have McGuire now. I think you had to walk away with one of them, you know. And just if I'm like just dissecting play from this season alone, I like McGuire more as a pass rusher. As an edge setter, dude, he gets sucked inside so much. Like he's constantly taking the cheese and giving the edge, and at least a back-breaking plays in this defense if you do that.
Yeah. He's been good enough, though, to be like what you brought Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is that times 5 billion. Yeah. Like, he is your third down, whatever, second in pass, third in pass, edge rusher. I think he's great. I want him around. I think he gives great effort. You're right about his faults, but that's why you have Alex Wright.
Yeah.
Down. Right?
Yeah, they complement each other. You gotta be hydrated, world's fastest.
Mike Hall has been playing a little bit of defensive end, yeah. And Graham as well, yeah. That's true, Jeffrey. I don't see them doing that on pass downs, probably. But, yeah.
You could probably get away with Mike doing it, but I mean,
I think Mike can do it, yeah. But I don't think if you don't need to, I don't see why you're doing it a lot. All right. Anybody else coming up that you want to keep or on this team?
Harden's only in year 2. He's a guy that I think you need to be looking at next year to monitor. Outside of that, no. Everyone else is here. But I am all in favor of trying to keep this defense as intact as you possibly can. You know, I think that's your anchor.